welcome to my kitchen. This part of my channel, I want to show you what I do with the food that I harvest from my garden. And today we're going to make some veggie muffins. I like to do veggie muffins when I don't have a whole lot of vegetables, but I want to kind of stretch out the use of them. And as you remember, I had a carrot harvest and I didn't get a lot out of that harvest. Like, a lot of my carrots, they were really small, and I couldn't really do a whole lot of meals with them, so I decided to incorporate those in with some of the other vegetables that I harvested earlier this week. And so what I have here, I have my yellow, green, and red bell pepper. I also have some of my bush beans here. And then down here I have, a few of the carrots that I harvested the other day. I have some herbs here. I have basil, rosemary, and oregano. And then over here, I have some dehydrated onions that I dehydrated about a month or so ago. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my food processor and get that nice and grind it down and grate it really well. I didn't want to sit here and grate them because it takes a long time, grating each and every one of your vegetables. So I'm going to do it the easy way. I'm going to pop these on the food processor, and then I'll be back. Now, I finished processing these on my food processor, and you only want to do it, I usually just put it on crush. I have a Ninja blender. It's like a blender, food processor, a little bit of everything. I'll just put it on there just for maybe 10-20 seconds max, because you want everything chopped up, but you don't want to puree it. So you want to make sure to be mindful of how long you're leaving everything in there for. But okay, we're going to take that. I have some dishwater that's already made here. Whenever I'm cooking and I know I'm going to use a lot of like bowls and pans and things like that, I like to pre-make my dishwater, and then when I'm finished, I just put it in the soapy water. So while it's cooking, all I have to do is run over here, rinse them, wash them good, rinse them, put them in the drying rack. So we got quite a lot here. Let's see if that'll focus. So you want it to look like this here. Okay, so and I've already washed my hands. So now we're going to mix our ingredients. So I'm going to set this to the side here, and for our ingredients, my muffins are going to be gluten-free muffins, and the reason I'm doing gluten-free muffins is because I make my own flour blend from scratch. I have rice flour, oat flour, and a few other things, and I have an all-purpose gluten-free flour blend. Now, you don't have to create your own flour blend. You can buy a pre-made flour blend, and you can use gluten if you want. It's up to you. I prefer gluten-free, and I prefer using something that has rice and oats in it, because especially rice will help to absorb some of the moisture from the vegetables. Now, if you're using a gluten flour blend, then you may want to put your chopped vegetables into a towel or some kind of tea towel or whatever, and squeeze out the extra moisture. I'm not going to worry about that because I have rice flour and oat flour, so my gluten-free blend that I create is going to absorb most of that. Moisture. All right, so let's get started. So here I have 2 cups of my gluten-free flour. I have, let me show y'all the flour. This is my flour. I have 2 eggs. 2 eggs, and the eggs I use, they're organic pasture raised eggs. I try to be as animal friendly as I can, and also I make my own almond milk as well. So I have here half a cup of almond milk. You can use regular milk if you want, or any other type of dairy-free milk, you know, if you don't consume dairy. But my almond milk, all I do is I sit my almonds, raw almonds, into a cup. I do a cup of almonds raw in water, and then the next day I blend it, and I also add flax milk into mine as well. So I get flax seeds and I soak those as well, and then I add in 4 to 5 cups of water. And then, you know, I get a nice, and then I squeeze it out in a cheesecloth, and then I get a nice almond milk, homemade, fresh. I like that. Okay, we're going to do 1/4 of a cup of olive oil. And here is my 1/4 of a cup of olive oil. About 2 teaspoons of garlic. I have the store-bought dried garlic because my garlic it dissolved, so I had to go to the grocery store and buy some garlic. But if you have some, you know, just chop it up, or you could have just added it to the food processor, but that's fine. And then 3 teaspoons of baking powder. So here we are. 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt, or you can use less salt or any kind of salt alternative. I use the Himalayan salt here. Okay, so now I'm going to get my bowl here, and we're gonna add in all of our ingredients. First I'm going to add in the flour, and then I'll do all of the moist items after that. I'm going to do my flour and all of my other dry ingredients first. Okay, then just put that in the soapy water there. Okay, so I have my 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and just sprinkle that in there. Make sure we get that all in there. Okay, I have my 1 teaspoon of salt. Get that in there. Get all of that in there. Okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna do my dehydrated garlic here, and just add that in there. Okay, and now I'm going to start adding my wet ingredients. I'm going to kind of mix this up a little bit just to make sure all of the dry ingredients have mixed in together well. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then I just kind of like to do something like this here. That way all of the wet ingredients will go in here, and then as I'm mixing them up, they'll blend a little bit better. I find that it blends a little bit better when I do it that way. Alright, so we are going to get this down here. I like to scrape down the edges a little bit. Some of the onions didn't chop all the way, but that's okay. It's all going to be blended up. So get all of that in there, and it smells so good. When you use fresh vegetables, especially like straight from your garden. You just pick it and bring it right in. It just, the fragrance is like way more intense than when you go to the grocery store. And it's so colorful. Like, I love doing this with all the different colorful vegetables. That's why when I planted my vegetables, I always did like the colorful blends, because you know, it just kind of makes your food dishes a lot more interesting and a little more decorative and festive. So we're gonna put that in here. So let's get that mixed in there. And now we are going to add my almond milk. So half a cup of, you know, any kind of milk that you want to use, and just pour that right in. Okay, and then 1/4 of a cup of olive oil. Gonna pour that in as well in the middle. Okay, then I have my 2 eggs, pasture raised eggs. And just crack those in there. This I'm going to set to the side because I compost my eggshells. So I'm just going to set those to the side. Alright, so now we have that in there, and I'm going to use this here to blend it and just kind of blend it all in. You don't want to like move too fast, and when you're blending this, you want to kind of, you know, take your time and just really work that in there and blend it up in there, kind of tap it a little bit. You want to get your wet ingredients blended pretty well, but you know, you don't have to be so cautious or anything. You know, the only thing is you just want to slowly blend and mix everything in, and just almost kind of like press it in there, and it gets caught in there, and you just tap it out a little bit and it'll come out. Okay, I was having some problem. There we go. Okay, and just lightly mix that together. Okay, so that's mostly mixed in. I'm gonna just further kind of come in here and just kind of make sure everything is nice and wet, and make sure the flour. So now you see here how before everything was really wet, and now with the rice flour and the oat flour blend that I make, it's and it's not just rice flour and oat flour. I do put other things in there, you know, like cornstarch and stuff like that. I mean, it's a true, you know, all-purpose flour, but you know, you can just kind of see how now it's starting to absorb a lot of that moisture that was in here. You know, that's why you don't want to be, you know, kind of moving around too much. But and just see how colorful that is. I mean, you have the purple carrots, the red, yellow, and green bell peppers, the I put one of my cayenne peppers in here as well, the red one. And I mean, it's just beautiful. Some people, they add tomatoes to this. I thought about adding tomatoes, but I decided not to, because my tomatoes I want to use in something else. So, but this is going to make some really beautiful muffins here. I just want to make sure everything is nice and blended. Okay, this is looking very good. All right, so let's just kind of scoop that down. Now, I have my little muffin cupcake tray here, and if you don't, I use the parchment paper cups here, little muffin cupcake cups. If you don't want to use any kind of paper, you can just lightly oil it with any oil of your choice and just add it in there. Just make sure when they're done cooking, you let them sit for like 5 minutes before you try to pull them out, because they'll still be, you know, a little too delicate, you know. But with these, you know, I can kind of pop these out and put them on my drying tray or my cooling tray over here. So I'm gonna move this to the side, place this here, and I like to use an ice cream scoop when I do this because it gives you the same measurement, you know, for each scoop that you do. You don't have to do, you know, any guesswork or anything. So I just like to take this, and then I would just dip that in there, make sure it gets in there, off any edges, and then it just makes it easy because you can just, you know, press that down and it goes like right in there. So let's get that. Just press it right in there. And it helps with mess too, you know, you're not getting it all over the place. Just put that in there. These are going to be so good. I can't wait to eat them. Press that. Fix this here. Little cup. Okay, there we go. And if you have anything extra in your bowl, you can just kind of, you know, wherever you see some that may have some little gaps, you could just take it and fill those gaps in. Okay, so here I have a little bit left over, and I see here I can maybe put a little bit more here, a little bit more in this one here, and maybe add some more to this one here, and just kind of tap it in there. It looks like I'm a little aggressive with it, but I'm assure you that I'm not. I am being a little careful and just take whatever's extra and just, okay, and then put that into the sink. Okay, and then I just kind of like to take this and just make sure it's pressed down in there. Make sure there's nothing hanging over the edges, because I hate getting those little those little pieces that kind of hang over and then it burns. I don't like that, so I just like to kind of make sure it's all pressed inside of the cup here. Alright, so I've already preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I believe that's 180 degrees Celsius. And then, so we're gonna put these on a middle rack and bake them for about 20 minutes. I would check on them after 15 minutes. I have a gas stove, so my items, they tend to cook a little bit quicker. So, you know, depending on if you have gas or electric, your cooking time will be a little bit different. But I'm going to check on them in 15 minutes and then, you know, see how they're doing, and then give them that extra 5 minutes, check on them again, and if they need a little bit longer, I think the max time should be 25 minutes. But you know, just make sure you keep checking on things, especially when it's something new that you're baking. And I'm going to put these in the oven. And then I'll be back with the finished product. Okay, so as you can see, my veggie muffins are done, and they've been cooling. I've allowed them to sit here on the cooling rack for about 10 minutes. I don't want them cold. I still want them to be a little bit warm when I try them. So if you want them to cool down, I would give them an extra 5 minutes, so I'll do a total of 15 minutes. But they've come out very well, as you can see, and I'm going to hold one of these up for you so you can see all of the colors in there. And let's see, here we go. If you could see some of the colors there. See if we could get that to focus. So you see here all of the different colors. You know, have the carrots and everything in there, so it's going to be nice and tasty and flavorful here. And let's see here, I'm going to try this one, see how it tastes. And this is another reason why I like to use these parchment cups is, you know, when I want to try one, I don't have to run and try and find a plate. I can just eat it. As you can see here, it's nice and moist in the middle. Hope you can see that there. It's nice and moist in the middle. So so the rice flour really did work for this, the rice and the oatmeal flour, but you know, use whatever flour blend you want. Oh, that's so good. Okay, well, that was a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me today in my urban cottage kitchen here in Atlanta, Georgia. I really enjoyed baking with you guys today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I also have a book on Amazon. The link is in the description. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free. So, you know, that helps support the channel. It helps support me. And that way I can continue to make these videos for you. Well, thank you again for joining me today, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.